Hi. Great. Okay. Sorry about the delay there. Technical details, but it happens with my class all the time. Um, so what I'm talking about today, this is actually my third time speaking at ECC. Um, but this is the first time I'm actually talking about something that I've been researching for at New York University. So I'm talking about smart contract indexing and ZK SQL. Um, I am a COO of a hedge fund, and we're a spinoff of Ledger Prime. We've been market makers for many Ethereum-based protocols. But aside from that, I actually also teach at NYU, Tandon School of Engineering, and I've been doing that for like past 3 years or so. But this is the first time these past 6 months where I've had a lot of students that want to do MS thesis, that want to do guided studies. So we've started publishing a lot of research and putting a lot of research out. And this is all academically backed by NYU. Prior to that, I was at Republic, and prior to that, I was a very early employee at Consensus. So it's always an honor coming back to HCC. Uh, this is the published research that actually just went out a couple of months ago. If anyone is interested in reading it, happy to send you the link. But this is the first time we put out all the zero knowledge proof originations and the use cases. And for this paper, we actually took each and every project that's saying, we're building on ZK and, whatever they're building on. And we tested it out because we wanted to put the most accurate information out. And this was published on May 18. It has started to become a bit of, background for NYU. But one thing I've also started looking with another student is ZK SQLs and ZK indexing. So, and if it gets a bit more technical, keep it in mind that we're still defining ZK indexing as we go on. So ZK SQLs, valid for computation of querying, right? So serving parsed data from databases, and indexes is parsing data from blockchain, which currently only supports fixed query. SQL, coming from the originations of web, it's a language for querying the data from a database. How we add ZK SQL, it's providing validity for querying or inserting operations, but this also secures that the resulting data in database itself is valid. ZK indexing is a unique indexing infrastructure that excels in both accuracy and security using zero-knowledge proofs. And it's a typical output through ZK Oracle with data flowing from on-chain, which, in Ethereum in this case, to off-chain. We've been testing GraphQLs. So, in this case, we're using ZK Graph index data. So far, we've seen ZK SQL with off-chain databases. So proof of SQL is one example. They're building a data warehouse for blockchain data, and they're making sure that the data is indeed from warehouse. That actually also means that the data does not need to be 100% the same as on-chain. Why does it matter? Because when I was at a hedge, when Ledger Prime was up and running, on-chain data was something that we struggled with through and through, and especially, in Ethereum's case, because we wanted real on-chain data to make the real-time trades, to real-time make market make on it. So could this be a solution? I mean, hopefully I would have a better answer by like October, November. And then ZK SQLs. We've started seeing some good luck with around Circom. So ZK SQL prover nodes maintain the database and generate proofs for each SQL query. If it's on-chain database, ZK SQL with on-chain database, it's the same for individual smart contracts data or whole blockchain state. It's like literally an on-chain Oracle with SQL as, the query language. So some early exploration that we're testing on-chain SQL without ZK compound lens and squilidity. You know, 6 months have passed, I still can't say the word. But it's an on-chain slide for smart contracts. The gas fees, you know, we've started to have an issue with it. It may be too high for maintaining this on-chain data. The fact that we're testing it out, you know, quote unquote, in a bear market, Ethereum isn't as expensive as it was in 2021. We still realized, you know, for an everyday use, it's going to be a bit more costly. So, you know, adding ZK to it, you know, without off-chain ZK proving to remove the on-chain computation. And then Tableland is very much like the graph, but, you know, database for Web3 dApps. They haven't published out a lot of research on them, but from the basics of it, they're following a very like similar model to what, you know, GraphQL is following. ZK is SQL for on-chain data, where the open market is. That's where, you know, our research is so much focused on. So no current ZK SQL for querying on-chain data. But Graph Protocol is working on ZK GraphQL querying, which is very similar to ZK SQL for on-chain data. But Sellers Brevis is also working on ZK plus ZK GraphQL. Now keep it in mind. We have started researching on this like late last October, and we've covered up the period up until like early July. And the market, or you know, the tech stack or the interest levels have changed quite a bit in the ZK frame. But for this current research, we're going to follow ZK GraphQLs, you know, thoroughly, because the graph, you know, as a project itself, you know, have been phenomenal with the ecosystem. So anyways, yes. So ZK SQLs need to implement all operations of SQL, including select, insert, and delete. ZK SQL for on-chain data makes more sense because it can show the advantages of ZK, including small verifications, cost better than ZK SQL for off-chain databases. And I think that's it, because I got my 5-minute cue also, and I told you I'll be on time. But the point is that, look, this is, you know, if you guys are builders in the room, if you're building on ZK and if you're building on, you know, ZK hardware and whatnot, on the backend side of things, ZK is turning out to be a very like promising Ethereum solution. So there's a lot of academic research that started to go into, and that's why, you know, when we pitched it to NYU, you know, they said, yes, you have our blessings, please go ahead with it. Would we have, when the published paper is coming out on this, early next year? Because now, these days, we've started to integrate ZK hardware and see if that could solve a solution. But I'll probably have many more answers early next year on where ZK SQLs, you know, tend to go. Thank you.
Do you have questions? We have time.
Hello. Yeah, this is Junda from Seller Network. Thank you so much for the cue to Brevis.
Yes, and you're also actually mentioned in our paper. So I can send you that paper.
Thanks. You know, just also let everyone know, the Brevis, we officially kind of make the alpha available. Great. Everyone can go and try. I think the core idea, I think, you know, the on-chain data has the ground truth, right, on the blockchain. That's the part we always have been struggling with, right? So the monitoring on-chain data saved into a centralized database, then you have to trust the database, right? Then, you know, hopefully as the technology, the zero knowledge technology keep making progress, it's faster and cheaper, we could remove the centralized database in the middle, right? We can go directly from the on-chain, the ground truth with succinct proof, then, you know, go to wherever the chain you want to use it. My question is actually about ZK nowadays, you know, it has been used a lot. What's your feeling about the kind of the technology, and how does it even represent now, right?
Oh God, please don't like hate me on this. But the thing is that the hedge fund me is very like bullish on it, but the NYU professor me is saying, "Oh God, this is going to take a while," because we've started, like I said, that we've been researching on it since last year. We've already published a paper. We're about to do a second publish. It's very promising, but it'll be a while. So that's why we wanted to see where does the hardware stand. So that's becoming our next focus.
Thanks for sharing about a topic I didn't even know about. So I have a pretty noob question. I think I understand how ZK proofs work for on-chain data because you end up tying it back to some block hash or some cryptographic signature or identity. But for a centralized off-chain database, how do you know that the proof is tethered to like that database or something that you trust without some sort of blockchain-like provenance?
There's a project, I'm forgetting the name, but they're basically using, I think, proof of time to go, and there's only one project that's doing it. It's actually mentioned on my second or third slide. I mean, we're short on time. I can talk to you outside about this, but it's called proof of SQL actually, and that particular consensus mechanism is strictly built for like
Keep the mic on, please.
strictly built for off-chain hardware. Now, is it proofable? Is it tested it out on a very small scale? We tested it out on 10 transactions. It worked. Put 15,000 transactions on it. I don't know. Like honestly speaking, I don't know.
Thank you. We still have time for one or two quick questions. Next speaker, if there is any. Otherwise, thank you so much.
Thank you.